back with another video, and today we are taking a tour of the Grand Canyon. So our morning started off early with a bus pickup at 6 a.m. So they had several pickup spots along the strip, and your pickup spot was determined based on the one that was closest to your hotel. So it wasn't very far off, so we had to get up early and make our way down to the Flamingo Hotel where our pickup was. So once we got there, it was kind of hectic because there were other bus tours also picking up in the same spot. So you had to figure out which bus was your tour, and then once you got on, everything was fine from there. So on the way to our first stop, our tour guide pointed out different landmarks along the way, and here's one of the clips.
Basically, it looks bright when we get a little bit closer. It's all the sediment that was sitting against the rocks for many, many years. And it's actually 3 stories high. It doesn't look like it from here. It's water we're losing. There used to be a 50s bomber in here that a lot of people would actually dive down into, scuba dive down. It's actually out of water now.
So our first stop was about 30 to 40 minutes from Vegas, where we stopped to pick up our lunch, and they also had the option to order breakfast if you decided to do so. So the lunch was your choice of a ham, turkey, or a veggie sandwich. So your sandwich came with potato chips and a water. So for the next 2 hours or so, we watched different informational videos about Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, Route 66, which was our second stop, which you will see coming up, and also our tour guide talked a little more. So something interesting that happened on our tour is that we got stopped by the police. So this is something routine inspection that they do for different tours, and our bus just so happened to be selected for a random stop. So it took about 15 or so minutes for them to do their check to make sure we had all the right documentation and everything. And then we continued on our way and made it to our second stop of the trip, which was a souvenir shop located on Route 66. They also have complimentary coffee at this station as well. So I kind of want to talk about some of the differences between the West Rim Tour and the South Rim Tour. The West Rim Tour, which we also saw online, is a lot closer to Vegas. I believe it's like a 2.5 hour drive compared to the South Rim, which was 4 hours from Vegas. And the West Rim is actually owned and operated by a Native American tribe, and they have different features like a skywalk where you can walk over the canyon, and also a zip line, a river tour, and a helicopter ride. And the South Rim is run by the National Park. So we decided on the South Rim tour because based on what everyone said online, seemed like the South Rim had better views of the Grand Canyon than the West Rim. But I would also like to check out the West Rim in order to see a different part of the Grand Canyon. So our tour had 2 options, a guided tour option and a self-guided tour option. So the guided tour option meant that you would follow along the tour guide. The other option allowed you to explore the canyon on your own, and you didn't have to stick with the tour guide for the entire time we were in the canyon. So we decided to do the guided option. So our tour bus dropped us off at Mather Point, and so that was our first view of the Grand Canyon. And then if you're on the self-guided tour by yourself, you would have to make the 2-mile walk to the pickup location where our tour bus picked us up to go back to Vegas, which was at Bright Angel Lodge, and that was 2 miles from the drop-off at Mather Point. Now if you're on the guided tour, you would stay with the tour guide and the tour bus. So after we explored Mather Point, we got back on the bus and the bus drove us to Bright Angel Lodge, where we got off and continued the tour around the Bright Angel Lodge. So what you're seeing now is Bright Angel Lodge, where our bus dropped us off after we came from Mather Point. And if you're interested, they do have rooms for you to rent, so you can actually stay here. But our tour guide did tell us that it's very hard to get a room. Like, they book almost years and months in advance. But I have linked their website down below if you want to check it out. So we were able to enjoy some of the views from the Bright Angel Lodge area. And also our tour guide talked a little bit more about the buildings and the hotel, and the different cabins that are located around this area. And here's actually a clip of her talking about some of the rock formations.
Island, it looks like it's on an island to me. Anyone know what you think that looks like? It's hard to tell because it's shaded, but do you know what it looks like? Any guesses? What if I told you it's called Battleship? Can you see the bow of it now? And the second story? So the bow of the boat, and then the second story, that's a battleship sitting on top of that little island area. Oh. And so this here is called a scenic locator, and they're located all throughout the canyon. And there's a lot of the rock formations embossed on here, and you just pick the one that you're wanting and you look through the finder and it sends you straight to that location. So that just gives you an idea of how expansive this whole area is, right? And then see this path down here? There's a path that starts down here and it goes to the very tip. From the beginning of that path to the tip is 6 miles. 6 miles of walking. And then you can see a white roof down there, right? In between those green trees in the little middle section. That is actually a watering station. There's many, remember how I said on the bus that there's natural spring water in the canyon? Well, that's one of those watering holes.
So after our tour guide gave us about 30 minutes to explore Bright Angel Lodge area on our own. So we decided to go to the Hoppy House, which is a Native American and arts craft gift shop that they have right next door. So inside they have a lot of different Native American made crafts like baskets, blankets, dream catchers, pottery. So not everything in the Hoppy House is made by the Native Americans. So if you are interested in purchasing specifically a Native made item, just make sure you check the tag. And there are signs all around that state whether something is native made or non-native made. So after I explored the Hoppy House, I headed back towards our bus pickup location in front of Bright Angel Lodge. I noticed some fresh droppings right out in front. And moments after we pulled out of the lodge and making our way back towards Vegas, we saw the elk right out in front of the hotel.
On the right. On this side, guys.
And there were so many of them, and this was our first sighting of wildlife in the canyon. And our tour guide was telling us that it's very nice to see wildlife. She was hoping that we could see some on our trip today. So we're very glad that we got to see some elk. And then we also saw a mule deer on the other side, and that's it there. After our eventful day at the canyon, we headed back towards Vegas, and our tour guide put on some Disney movies to pass by the time. And there was a dinner option available for us, so we did stop at the same location where we picked up our lunch and breakfast before earlier in the trip. And the dinner was optional, so she passed around a menu if you wanted to get anything to eat. And on our way, we actually made one stop for a bathroom break and also for us to change drivers, because the law requires bus drivers to switch after they've driven so many hours. I believe it's 10 hours, and then they have to switch. So the restaurant where we ordered dinner from was the Tap, which was again the same place we stopped for breakfast and to pick up our lunch. So we ordered the fried chicken sandwich and also the vegetable and rice stir-fry bowl. I would not recommend getting the stir-fry bowl because it was just mostly rice and there wasn't a lot of vegetables. I would have rather ordered the chicken fried sandwich or just the fries. So then we made it back to Vegas, and we got off at the same pickup spot and just walked back to our hotel. And that was our full day at the canyon. It's a great tour. Would recommend doing it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you've stuck around this long, and thanks again for watching.